Good. All right. So I think you can all hear me now. And let's get into a comfortable Sukhasana seat. If you missed that, I was just saying make sure you have some cushions and soft things around you, around your mat, to help with the postures, to help feel comfortable in the postures. And as you come into your Sukhasana seat, I invite you to lightly place your hands on your knees, palms facing down, and just tilt the pelvic floor forward. As you come onto the very front of the sitting bones. And then having done that, just press the base of the spine, just with a slight awareness down into the mat. So achieving an equilibrium in the seat of the body. And then starting to draw your attention over the back, vertebra by vertebra, drawing up the spine. And feeling as though the mind's eye brings alignment in the spine and helps you to straighten and sit more comfortably. So like a healing perspective over the spine. And then the gaze starts to move up to the back of the neck, lengthening through the back of the neck and lifting up through the top of the head. Allow the chin to tuck ever so slightly inwards. And then draw the attention down to the breath. And observe the rhythm of your breath as it falls naturally, as it is. And I invite you to feel as though with each soft inhalation, you breathe in through the nostrils and to the back of the lungs. So breathing into your back. And with each exhalation, you breathe out from the back and through the chest, as though you could exhale through the center of your chest. And so we just visualize this movement of oxygen and breath in the body over the chest cavity into the back to help us feel the sense of expansiveness and to help us breathe more fully and effectively. And so breathing in through the nose, through the nostrils, down through the chest, and let that breath expand into the back. And as you exhale, exhale out through the chest, through the center of the chest. So you had gills through the center of through the rib cage. And just flow with this breath and keep this sense of awareness in the flow of nostrils to back through heart. And let this simple observation, and I should say also imagination of meeting of observation of breath and imagination in mind, let this calm your mind and bring you to the present moment. Let all your thoughts and concerns and worries fade, giving yourself the full gift of presence here on your mat this evening. And with each breath, I invite you to feel as though there's an automatic trigger in the body that helps you relax deep into the muscles, into the tissues, into the fibers of your being. And each expression of your breath is like a calling to relaxation. And as we've uncluttered the mind and drawn our focus on the simplicity of ourselves sitting here on our mats, as we've focused in on this simplicity, this trigger, we are able to let go in the context of that and to relax. Just taking another 2 rounds of breathing in through the nostril into the back of the body, exhaling from the back of the lungs, through the chest cavity, out through the front of the chest. And last iteration of breath like this. And then keeping your eyes closed, I invite you to bring both of your hands over your belly. So you can spread your fingers and just place them over your belly and feel that the belly is soft here. So it's our intention in a yin practice to not force or strain or impose a particular form or shape or posture. So we want to just feel into how our belly is right now, how we feel and sit right now. And as you feel your fingers over your belly, I invite you now to feel into your breath and the movement of belly and breath. So sinking that awareness down now from what was a breath through the chest cavity to the back through the heart, it's now a breath through the nostrils and down into the belly. And the exhalation is a contraction through the belly and out again through the nostrils. So let's explore our bodies with full awareness here. It's kind of a curious, calm observation as we draw the awareness down from the chest into the belly. And let your breath be powered from the belly. Our belly is kind of our emotional center, our second heart, our second brain. And so we just want to bring calm to the body through feeling through the belly here. Breathing through the belly. And from here, let's begin to add, moving from a just natural flow of breath in our own times to some pranayama, keeping the hands where you are, keeping your eyes closed. Let's begin a box count of breath. So inhaling for 4. Hold the breath for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold the breath for 4. Inhale for 4. Hold the breath for 4. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Soften over the face. Hold. Relax into your body. Don't fight the breath. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. This will be our last round. Inhale. Sorry, hold. Let's inhale together. Hold. Exhale. Hold, and hold the breath as long as is comfortable to you without straining, maybe focusing on the third eye, on the area on the forehead above the brows. And when you're ready, exhaling completely. And releasing your hands from your belly and fluttering the eyes open. And just focusing into the feeling in the head, perhaps some lightness in the head, just observing the changes in the body. So we get ready to move out of our Sukhasana now So releasing your legs, and you can straighten them out in front of you. So you'll be facing forward on your mat. And I invite you to come off the cushion that you were sitting on. I'll swivel to face the side so you can see, come off the cushion you're on, and then slide it underneath your knees. Now, depending on how tight or not you are in your hamstrings, you might need another cushion or blanket over the belly. And that feels nice and soft to have that extra support. And then you're going to let the feet splay outwards, toes outwards, heels inwards. So you're getting an external rotation in the legs. The knees are completely bent. And taking a deep breath in, just lengthen and roll the shoulders back. And then exhale to recline over that cushion and bring the head down to look in towards the body. Now, it depends what you would like. You can add another blanket or something soft to put under your head, or if it's comfortable, you can just hang out here. Or if it feels like your neck is straining, you can also lift your hands up and just cradle your forehead in your hands. So this, of course, is a Paschimottanasana, but a supported, a restorative version of our sitting forward bend. And so once you've found your posture, your alignment in the posture, I invite you to start to observe your breath and close your eyes. A very, very powerful posture when done in this restorative version for your nervous system, particularly if your head is cradled, if your head feels supported, the whole of the spine and the neck is supported. Head is in line with the heart or below. It's very calming effect. And so the theme that we've been focusing on this week is the Ashtavakrasana. And this is the 8-angle pose in yoga. In our flows, in our vinyasa flows, we worked on this pose, this balancing pose. But this pose has got a very interesting story behind it. It's drawn from the Ashtavakra Gita, which is a very ancient Hindu text. Now, we've all heard of the Bhagavad Gita, very famous and foundational Vedic text. And there is a much lesser known, shorter, more mystical, esoteric, abstract text known as the Ashtavakrasa Gita. And there is a main character in this text, a young man who's born with 8 deformities in the body. And this term, Ashtavakra, means 8 angles or 8 bends. And as the central character in the story, in this mystical text, he is born with these 8 deformities, 8 physical impairments. And the story follows his life and his journey to overcome those, to come to work with and accept them, and he eventually becomes a sage. And some of the later parts of this text are conversations between him and King Janaka, who is the father of Sita. Might have heard, quite a famous goddess in the large Hindu pantheon of gods. And they engage in a dialogue about the meaning of freedom and acceptance, self-acceptance, freedom and constraint, and about union with Source. And so this pose that we do in yoga is inspired and drawn from this character, the 8-angle or the 8-bend pose. It's considered to have been written in about 500, between 800 and 500 BC. Coming into your last 2 breaths in this sitting forward position. And when you're ready, take an inhalation to lift your chest up. And you can move the cushions out the way. Just give a little bit of relief to the body. So bringing your hands behind your bum, fingers pointing away, and you can open the knees out, bring the soles of the feet together. First option is to just press the chest forward as you press your hands into the floor and lengthen through the lumbar spine, which has been bending forward. Second option is to lift your bum up and draw the seat of the body towards the heels and continue to lift your chest up. You can also close your eyes. You can also lean your head backwards wherever you are in this pose. And try and soften into the knees. Let the knees be heavy and weighty as the legs splay and open outwards. Going through the last 3 breaths here. Taking a last deep full inhalation and expansive exhalation. Releasing the buttocks from the heels if they were there, bringing the spine back to neutral. Straightening out your left leg, bringing the right in towards the inner part of that left thigh and coming into a supported Janu Sarasana. So if your right knee is far off the floor, if that right hip is quite tight, the groin is tight, then you can place that knee under a cushion. And then you've definitely got a cushion or something soft in close into the belly, and really hug it in close to the belly. And then like we did in our sitting forward bend, you can just lengthen through the spine here, rolling the shoulders back, and then exhale to fold forwards. Again, same thing with either just looking down towards your knee, feeling a light stretch over the back of the neck, or if you need to come to cradle your head in your hands. There's a few options with that. One is to bring your 2 thumbs on the inner groove of the eye socket of the skull, and then your 4 fingers up to support the head. And that's a nice kind of self-massage. And then the second option, nice option, is to make fists with the hands and just lightly press the fists into the forehead. And so on a whole, the story of Astavakrasana, is that what he learns more than anything is that, of course, freedom and limitations are predominantly found in the mind. All freedom is within a context, and in spite of physical limitations, and indeed there are always some form of physical limitation, we always have the choice and the option to find freedom within the self, within our minds. And I was thinking a lot about this text this week. We were discussing at the beginning of our session. I was speaking to Gail and Christine. We're in Toronto, and I was talking about our circumstance here in Johannesburg and how strict our lockdown is now, and how much it feels like all of our freedoms are being so infringed upon. We can't even go for a walk. And we're all very aware of limitations right now. Our worlds feel very confined. There's so much that's not allowed. In fact, every day the marker seems to change and shift. We seem to be more preoccupied with what we cannot do, what we should not do, what's not allowed, than what we can. Your next inhalation, lift your chest up. You can just move the cushion that's under your belly out the way as you take your right hand, my mistake, on the outside of the right hip. And in a gentle way, you can continue to have the cushion under your knee if you had it. Just lift your bum up, engage the glutes to just lift the chest up and reach the left arm overhead. Maybe lengthen and straighten into the neck. So it's almost like a low version of a wild thing. Make it nice and soft. You can just take 3 more breaths here. And then exhale, slowly come down. And let's come into a twist before we swap over to the other side. So keeping your knee exactly where it is, just bring your left hand over your right knee, right hand behind you. Just place your fingers, I kind of make them into a spider hand shape. Press those fingers into the floor as you press the floor away and look over your right shoulder. If you feel that that is straining through the neck and kind of changing the soft and reflective energy of your yin practice, then please feel free to look just down to the floor and to not strain in any way. And keep that soft energy in the body, a kind of fluid energy. Much of our yin practice is water element in Chinese herbal medicine. And our yang practice, so our vinyasa, or our hatha, more active exercise, is fire and earth, with moments of exception, of course. Fire, earth, and wood in Chinese herbal medicine. Taking your last breath here in the twist, inhale. And then exhale to slowly come out. And let's swap over to the other side. So right leg is straight, left leg is bent. Cushion under the left knee if you need it, and definitely cushion under your belly, between belly and thigh. Let's take a moment to feel straightened out, comfortable. Take an inhalation to lengthen without straining, and then exhale to fold over that leg. And find once again what works for your head and your neck. Maybe feeling the rise and fall, the press of the belly onto the cushion. Just observing that, letting that anchor your mind, anchor you to this moment. And so in this time of limitations and confinement, we are challenged to swim down different tributaries of the river of freedom, and find different ways in our lives that perhaps we have more freedom or can focus on other forms of freedom. Because of course freedom comes in many different colors, many different hues. In our public life, social life, political life, economically, within relationships, within arts, culture. There are so many different shades of freedom and limitation. And it seems as though there is a fine balance between them all. Some elements and aspects become too powerful, too predominant. Others are limited. And so both freedom and constraint seem to be absolutes. A lot more gray area around these terms. Although we speak of and think of freedom as an absolute, as a totality. And in fact, it is a term of multiple shades. multiple avenues. And through through Ashtavaksa's life, he comes to realize, on the search for absolute freedom, that there is no such thing. Limitation and constraint is a necessary opposite. Taking our last breath here, leaning forward, exhaling. Inhale to lift up. And let's stretch out the lumbar spine. So moving the cushion from over the belly, bringing your left hand on the outside of the left hip. And when you're ready, inhale to lift your hips up, engaging through the glutes, lengthening through the front of the body, through the heart. Maybe stretching into your fingers, into your toes, feeling a nice fluid run of energy over the side body. Last breath here, inhale. And exhale to lower the bum. And then we'll come into that twist. So bringing your right hand over your left knee. Your left hand will now come behind you onto the floor, into that kind of spider finger, or like you have a cupcake under your hand and you don't want to squash it. Should I say Easter egg? And just gently press into the floor and pull back on the bent knee to find a bit of traction, trying not to strain. Maybe feeling the connection between an inhalation to lift up and lengthen through the spine and an exhalation to twist. And coming into our last 3 breaths here in our twist. And perhaps breathing through the heart. Feeling the chest expand and the shoulders move away from each other and backwards. And when you're ready to exhale, come back towards facing the front. And we're going to lie back on the mats now, so you won't need anything under your back at first, but obviously you want your cushions nearby, so you can just do that nice and slowly, rolling back, maybe even feeling each vertebra as you lower your body to the floor. We'll just spend a minute here with our knees together, feet a bit wider than the hips. Sometimes it's nice to kind of almost become pigeon-toed here, drawing toes in towards each other, heels outwards, knees balanced against each other. And then just bring your hands back to your belly as we started one of our opening mudras. And perhaps close your eyes here and just feel across the spine. So feel each iteration, each corner, each instance in which the spine meets your mat or the carpet or the earth. Just really connecting with the texture of the meeting of the earth and your back. A lot of our postures today are aligned with the nervous system, calming the nervous system and bringing balance back to the nervous system. And so feeling the flow of chi, pranic energy, life force through the spine. The spinal cord, our main highway for our nervous system, for our energetic body. So when we reflectively, consciously connect with our bodies in a comfortable and supported and safe shape and posture and form, we activate and usher in the parasympathetic nervous system and the natural processes of healing in the nervous system. And the calming of the heart. Then when you're ready, I invite you to release your hands from your belly and lift your legs up. And now there's two options. One is to just take your hands underneath your lower spine and have your legs reaching up towards the ceiling or roof, just like that. Your knees are bent. So as usual, yeah, with yin, we want that soft posture. We don't want to strain. But if that feels uncomfortable or like there's not enough softness and support and height, you can also just place a cushion now under your tailbone, and that will also help you tilt. So we're just rounding the lumbar spine ever so slightly and helping us elevate through the legs without strain. And so this is like a Viparita Karani, but we're not using the wall support. So we want that tilt in the lower body. If this becomes too much for you over the next kind of 3 minutes as we hold it, then you can always just bend your knees and hug your legs to your chest. Always an option. But try to keep the legs lifted as long as it feels comfortable for you. So you're allowing the lymph drainage through the legs. And so it is considered that the Ashtra-Vaksa Gita is not a text that can be fully appreciated and understood through intellectual or theoretical endeavor. In all interpretations, because it's more abstract and esoteric, it's considered as a text that has to be felt, it has to be experienced. This way it's sort of like a work of art. You don't get to the essence of it unless you connect with your subtler body, with your subtler mind. You have to feel and experience and meditate and reflect upon it from the back of the mind without focusing and relying on your prefrontal cortex and your organizational, theoretical mind. And in many ways, freedom is like that. There's so many layers of it. Of course, it is theorized, it's written into political theories, into how we govern and organize the world, human life. But ultimately, freedom seems to be so much more than that, of course. Freedom very much is feeling, is internal experience. You can legislate to enable freedoms in a public space, but does that mean that people are free? As we lie here in our kind of free elevated Viparita Karani, I invite you to reflect on when you felt most free in your life, in your body. What was the texture of that experience? And perhaps you'd like to invite that feeling, that memory of feeling, into your body now, into your mental, emotional body now. On your next exhalation, I invite everybody now to bend into your knees and hug your knees to your heart, holding onto your elbows. Maybe you want to rock from side to side. And then keep the cushion, if it's underneath your hips, keep it there. And on your next inhalation, lift your nose up towards your knees, and hug everything in. Feel the constriction at the top of that inhalation, and then exhale to release. Relax the head, relax the body. So we're going to do 3 of those, and I invite you, when you exhale, to exhale through the back of the throat, releasing exhalation. You can make an audible sound with that exhalation. So inhale to look forward, knee to nose, hug everything in, and feel the tension in the body, and then exhale to release. Second one, to inhale, to tighten, draw everything in, and then and third iteration, inhale, hug in, tighten, constrict, and then release your knees and move the cushion, if you had it underneath your lumbar spine, out the way, and we'll come into a reclining twist. So the version, there's so many different amazing ways to do this reclining twist. So the one we'll do today is straighten out your right leg straight on the floor, away from you. Bring a cushion on the outside of the right hip, and then exhale to bring the bent left knee over onto that cushion. Then you're going to swivel over a little bit onto the right side body, and then try to look back to your left hand. You can have your elbows bent, fingers and hands nice and soft, fingers curled in. And if you feel like there is a big gap between your left shoulder and the floor, you can also just maybe draw a blanket underneath that shoulder. So you really want to support your body in this twist. And in fact, in yoga, any twist and then release is an iteration of our constriction and freedom of pranic energy down the spine. So the wisdom of twists in yoga is the squeeze action. So you squeeze into the spine, and then the release after that is the soak, as the blood rushes up through the spine, bringing new oxygen and nutrients and energy and healing. And so in our text, the Ashtra Gita, each of the 298 stanzas are like a little, what could be called a bliss capsule. So I was mentioning they are best understood through the heart. They are best understood through an experiential mind, a meditative mind. Here's an example. Set your body aside, sit in your awareness. You will at once be happy, forever still, forever free. And so the point, obviously, of this stanza is that the self is pure awareness. The observer, the deep self, source, light that is within you is pure awareness. And this is your ultimate freedom. Being aware of this, connecting with this, the union between your observing mind and source with a capital S, whatever word resonates with you, is a true expression of freedom. And so as the text continues, it is spoken about how our physical world is but an illusion, how our egos and identities are an illusion, cannot be trusted. And real truth is actually startlingly simple, much more simple than our physical worlds and identities. And truth is a singular pulse, a unifying source. On your next inhalation, you can lift up that left knee and we'll swap over to the other side. So straightening the left leg out, bringing your cushion on the outside of the left hip. And then when you're ready, bringing the bent right knee over the body, coming into your reclining twist. What you did on the one side, do on the other. So if you had a blanket or something soft under the left shoulder, I invite you to place it under the right shoulder now. And have the elbows bent, palms facing upwards, fingers curled softly in, and looking gently over the right shoulder. And so in the focus on union with source and that alignment between observation and knowledge of the illusion of the physical world and the truth of an interior, eternal, pulsing light or energy. And all of that focus is, of course, leading to one of the big themes and points of this text, and that is non-dualism. This is considered one of the great texts of non-dualism, meaning that there is no separation between our physical or material reality and intelligence. So our minds, our mental activity, our thinking, our consciousness is not a separate entity from physical molecules. That our bodies are not separate from our minds. That intelligence imbues everything. And the ultimate truth and resonant union is energy. And so as we lie here in our reclining twist with the chest so wonderfully open and vulnerable, can connect with the heart center, can connect with the breath. And perhaps once again, your feeling, your emotional memory of freedom. The touch, the taste, the smell, the color of freedom. And coming into the last few breaths of this posture. If the mind wanders, let's bring it back to the breath and the sensations of the body. And when you're ready, then inhaling and coming out, bringing your spine flat and neutral on the floor once again. You can draw your fingers over one knee and inhale to come up to a seated position. And we can bring the soles of the feet together here. So coming into a supported Baddha Konasana, bringing a cushion under each knee and bringing the feet as close to the body as is comfortable for you. If you are very stiff in the groins and over the sciatic nerve and lower back, you can also put a cushion under your bum now as well. Create a bit of height there. And then once you are comfortable and feel well supported, interlock your fingers over the toes, over the feet, placing your fingers underneath the outer blade of the feet. And then press the chest forward as you press the front of the pelvic floor, the front of the seat of the body forward. And allow the belly to be soft. So you really want to press forwards, press through the solar plexus, press through the chest, and then soften through the back of the shoulders. Soften over the arms. Feel, so try not to strain through the arms. Try and release tension over the arms and hands now. So you have your grip and you're using the strength of your spine here and the press on the front of the pelvic floor and through the torso to stretch and lengthen through the arms. And let the belly be soft. Coming into the last 3 breaths here, make them really expansive, big, full breaths. Or let's make them 5 breaths in your own time, breathing deeply into the belly, expanding the lungs, full yogic breathing. Coming into the last full cycle of breath here, really stretching over the top of the shoulders and through the arms. And then exhale to release your hands. And then let's come into a supported child pose with our knees nice and wide. So come over with your legs underneath you, open the knees as wide as the mat, and then place a cushion underneath your belly and maybe another one a little bit further along so you're fully supported. And when you're ready, lie forwards over the cushions and really hug them in towards you. And then once you come to place your head to the floor, or to the cushion, just check that your neck is supported and your head feels supported. Maybe you want to place a book or a rolled up towel or something under the third eye if you feel like your head is not well supported, if it's hanging in midair. Make sure that you do support it, otherwise you don't have that full effect in the spine and activating the parasympathetic nervous system. If you're straining your head, you won't achieve that. And closing your eyes. And indeed, Ashtavakrasa writes and speaks about how freedom in our state of mind is freedom within this world. It's always a dance between our state of minds, limitations within our physical reality, and our changing emotions and mental states. And he talks about how This is an illusion and a dance. As we were saying, as one becomes more dominant, we find one type of freedom. It seems as though others are taken away. And there is no absolute freedom for everyone, everywhere. And this is the case within nature too. And he writes, the mind desires this and grieves for that. It embraces one thing and spurs another. Now it feels anger, now happiness. In this way you are bound, but when the mind desires nothing and grieves for nothing, when it is without joy or anger and grasping nothing, it turns nothing away. Then you are free. And so he finds his freedom through turning away from his desires and aversions. And in many ways, this is quite Buddhist. This is very much a central aspect of Buddhist philosophy. Indeed, the whole practice of many forms of Buddhist meditation, Vipassana included, are to train the mind to no longer fall into habits of craving and aversion. And it is written in Buddhist texts that when you are able to no longer react to the world with craving and aversion, you find a sense of harmony, of equilibrium. And this is our essential state, our natural state, our inner bliss. And of course, this doesn't mean that you live a dead life, that you're a drone, that you don't feel emotions and enjoy things and live fully, but that you do not react to circumstances with cravings and aversions. You don't react in strong, elaborate, deterministic, totalitarian ways. I hate this, I love that, I want that, I'm craving this, I miss that. But rather to accept the changing seasons of life and to watch the dance of power forces, of freedom and limitations, of give and take in life, in your life. On your next inhalation, you can gently press into the floor around you and come to sit up once again. And we're going to lie onto our bellies now, coming into the crocodile pose. So really straightening out the spine. So you can just come onto your knees, move the cushions out the way, come onto your elbows and lie face forward on your mat. Bring your elbows to be out nice and wide, and then bring one palm on top of another, it doesn't matter which one. And then bring your cheek, your left cheek will look to the right first on your hand, and then let your heels fall outwards, toes pointing inwards. So this is the crocodile pose. If it feels uncomfortable for you to put your cheek on your hand, you can also cradle your forehead on your hand. And again, everybody's anatomy is slightly different. If that's still uncomfortable, there's always the option to use a blanket here under the head or a cushion. So please reach for that if you find your hands feel a bit bony or hard, if it's not allowing you to soften and lengthen and relax into your neck and your face. Indeed, relax your jaw now once you are comfortable, and close your eyes. And focusing down in towards the mat. And so over this week and over this time, indeed, I've had to remind myself time and again that freedom is best found within my own mind, within my own perspectives. It was my most powerful form of freedom. But also that I need to not engage in the craving for the things that I miss in my life. I know that when I turn on that emotion of frustration, not being able to walk, not being able to hug loved ones, not being able to run through a park, can't even go shopping for essential needs when I want to. So many things. Instead of focusing on those limitations and focusing on the cravings I have for the things I'm used to. And patiently and kindly turn my mind to focus on the things that have been enabled through this strange time. More time to read, to paint, and go to bed so blissfully early, sleeping late if I need to. Time to actually listen to music instead of just having it on in the background. Appreciating the glorious ray of light that comes into our tiny courtyard, our only outdoor space, by mid-morning, and just standing in that light, basking in it, letting it seep into my soul, transforming the gloominess into light. Freedom to change my perspective, to shift my emotions. On your next inhalation, lift your head up and exhale to look over towards the left side, bringing your right side of the head or right cheek on your hands. For some of us, it's a radical freedom to structure our days as we like, as before our boss, or responsibilities, routines in the world outside dictated our days. And now, in the flux of virtual meetings and emails, and the virtual world being the only connection with the outside, we have freedom, so much more freedom over how we structure our days, how we plan our duties and tasks. And so it seems as though there is something around freedom and limitation that requires us to focus on balance and harmony. And this is both on a macro and a micro level. So today, for example, I joined a virtual dance session this afternoon. A DJ was playing via YouTube. I joined the dance session with my earphones on in our tiny courtyard. And I thought about how when you link your heart, your mind, your actions, and your physical body. And you link them all into one moment, into one goal or one action. You have that harmony and coherence in purpose and vision. How freeing that is. That feels like a really profound sense of freedom. It's like you create the clear structure, the aligned structure in all the different layers and elements of your life. And then the energy and intention flows through that unhindered. And that indeed is freedom. On your next inhalation, lifting your head up, looking forwards, and we can stay on our belly just for the last posture. So then reaching your left arm out towards the side, in a horizontal line, and then press the floor away with your right arm and inhale to come up onto your left side body. And you can bring your right leg, the top leg, bending the knee, bringing the foot on the floor behind your left leg, and then soften your head onto the mat. If your neck is very stiff, that movement in softening the head onto the mat is going to feel uncomfortable and strained. And in that case, you want to pick up a cushion and place it underneath your head. So just see how you feel. And then your right hand can just be face down on the floor, wherever is comfortable for you, closing your eyes. And the more that you make that top knee, the right knee, heavy, so moving more towards the left, the more of a stretch you get over the chest and the front of the left shoulder, and the more intensive it is of a release in the chest and shoulders. And indeed, this feeling of freedom when all aspects of our lives are aligned. And this doesn't happen often. There are moments when we achieve that. This feeling of freedom is explained as a moment of flow of energy, that alignment, that locking in of intention and purpose and action and thought is like a highway for flow of energy. It's a moment of incredible creative potential. And yet, it is always within a context. Context is everything. On your next exhalation, come onto your belly. We'll go over to the other side, reaching your right arm out horizontal to the mat, lifting up your left hip, coming onto the right side body, bringing left leg over, foot to the floor, knee towards the ceiling, softening your head onto the mat or onto a cushion, and then leaning over towards the right side, making that left knee as heavy as is comfortable to you to stretch into your right shoulder. Then the last aspect of freedom, this dance between freedom and limitation that's written in Ashtavakra Gita, is of course acceptance. And it seems that freedom is dependent upon acceptance. An acceptance of limitations, of the configuration of yourself in relation to the world around you and where you are and how you are right now. Because without acceptance, you are always in some way in tension or in conflict with your circumstances and with yourself. And freedom is dependent upon our ability to accept. And this means to take a leap of faith, a faith that everything as it is right now is okay, it's as it should be, that it's enough, and a leap of faith, deep knowledge that ultimately all must change. So all the inherent imperfections of now in this context will change. And so too will the aspects of it that you accept, that you like, that you desire, that you want. The deep acceptance of the limitations is the necessary precursor to the free flow of energy, alignment, harmony, and freedom. And exhale and rolling over onto your belly, coming out of the pose. And from here, we'll come into our Shavasana. So wherever you are on your mat, doesn't matter which way you're facing now, you can just roll over onto your back. And then come to lie in the middle of the mat. And you can lift, you can bring a cushion underneath your knees or under your head or lower back, whatever feels right for you. I particularly love it underneath my knees. Grab a blanket if that's what you desire, and then recline back onto your mat. Have the feet flopping outwards, heels inwards, palms facing up on either side of the body. Spine is long, neck is supported. Perhaps you just want to draw the chin ever so slightly inwards to lengthen a bit more deeply into the back of the neck. And perhaps you just want to lift your hips up, engaging the glutes. Just lift your hips slightly off the floor. And then with your next exhalation, to just shift the hips a little bit away from the shoulders, a little down and away from the head, and then soften your bum back onto the floor, creating space in the lower back. And then I invite you to close your eyes. I'm feeling the soft touch of eyelids on your eyeballs here. Becoming aware of how you are drawing yourself inwards here. So confining your gaze and your faculty of touch and smell and hearing, all your senses of awareness that usually are outward directed. You're confining them, you're turning them inwards, you're limiting them, focusing them on your inner world, your inner processes. Becoming aware of that conscious limitation. Just observing how freeing that is. How simple everything becomes in the darkness. And drowning out the noise and the complexity and turning inwards. And so I invite you to settle in, to lean into this experience of freedom within confines, within limitations. Enjoying that connection between feeling and knowledge deep within you, deep within your heart. And thus embracing this moment as we sink and settle into our relaxation together. And with a subtle and steady breath here, I invite you to bring to mind your right side of your head, your right ear, drawing the mind's eye over the right side of your neck, over the right shoulder, and drawing the mind's eye down the right arm, and sweeping the attention into the right hand and fingertips, from the top of the head, over the scalp, the right ear, neck, shoulder, arm, and hands. And to observe in this context, this section of the body, a run of energy, of light. From the top of the head to the tips of the right fingers. Entering through the top of the head, sweeping over the face, the right arm, into the hand and right fingers. And the motion sweeping downwards first. And then starting to turn that direction into sweeping upwards through the right fingers, over the right hand, right arm, right shoulder, side of the neck, right side of the face, into the top of the head. And with the attention back to the top of the head, I invite you to draw the attention over the left side of the scalp, over the left ear, left side of the neck, over the left shoulder, through the left arm, left wrist, left hand, and out through the left fingertips. Run of energy from the tip of the head out through the left fingertips. Let the energy run and flow along with the breath, the subtle breath. And then turning the direction, drawing energy up through the left fingertips, over the hand, the arm, the left shoulder, left side of the head, and up through the top of your head. And then from the top of the head, I invite you to draw your mind's eye over the face, over the front of the body, over the jaw, over the throat, the chest, the belly, the front of the pelvis, the quads, the patella, the kneecaps, the shins, and the top of the feet, out through the tips of your toes. A clear run of energy from the top of your head, over the front of the body, and down through the tips of your toes. With each breath, energy running clearly, fluidly. And then turning direction from the tip of the toes, up over the feet, the shins, the knees, the quads, the pelvis, the belly, the chest, the face, and back through the top of the head. And finally now over the back of the head, from the top of the head, over the back of the head, over the back of the neck. Clear energy and light. Over the back of the shoulders, the scapula, the center of the spine, the lower back, over the glutes, over the hamstrings, over the back of the knees, tickling over the calves, through the ankles, and through the soles of the feet, out through the tips of the toes. Healing, light, pure energy. And with the rhythm of the breath, turning that energy back through the toes, through the soles of the feet, over the ankles, over the calves, the back of the knees, the hamstrings, the glutes, your lower back, energy running through your middle back, through your shoulders, back of the neck, back of the scalp, and out through the top of the head. Pure light, flow of energy. Flowing with the breath. In harmony, light. I invite you now to gently run your thumbs over your fingertips. Maybe gently wiggle your toes. If it serves you, reach your arms above your head and take a lovely deep full breath in. Taking a long, luxurious stretch. Then I invite you to draw your knees to your chest and roll over onto your right side, cradling the right side of your head in your left upper arm. Sorry, in your right upper arm. And keeping the energy focused inwards, eyes are closed, listening to the words of the Ashtavakra Gita. If you wish to be free, know you are the self, the witness of all these, the heart of awareness. Set your body aside, sit in your own awareness. You will at once be happy, forever still, forever free. You are everywhere, forever free. You are all times, forever free. If you think you are free, you are free. If you think you are bound, you are bound. Meditate on the self, one without two, exalted awareness. When you're ready, press your hand into the floor and come up to a seated position, facing forwards like we began our session, and coming full circle. I invite you to bring your hands together in front of your heart, palm to palm, in Anjali Mudra. And I invite you to join me in the universal vibration of Om. Taking a deep breath in. Gratitude to all our loved ones, and gratitude to all our teachers, and in celebration of the freedoms and the limitations of our lives right now. Namaste.